Imagine a land where the fences are lined with barbed wire, but the real boundary is a 6'4" enforcer in a black cowboy hat who answers every single threat with brute force. On the Dutton Ranch, peace isn't kept by the law, it is kept by Rip Wheeler, a man who acts as the judge, jury, and physical hammer for the biggest ranch in Montana. When anyone steps onto this property thinking they can mess with the Dutton name, they quickly realize they made the biggest mistake of their lives. Rip does not issue warnings, he does not negotiate, and he certainly does not give second chances. He moves through every fight with cold precision, treating trespassers, rival cowboys, and corporate hitmen like simple chores that need to be cleared off the dirt. This is the story of a man who will burn the world down just to keep one patch of grass safe. And if you stand in his way, you will end up buried beneath it. Rip Wheeler is the ultimate protector of the Dutton Ranch because he carries a level of loyalty that goes far deeper than a regular job. Raised from childhood under the roof of John Dutton, Rip was given a second chance at life when he had nowhere else to go, and he turned that gratitude into a lifetime of unwavering service. To Rip, the ranch is not just a piece of business real estate. It is his home, his family, and his entire identity. Every time an outsider tries to cut a fence, steal cattle, or threaten the family name, Rip takes it as a deeply personal insult that can only be settled with action. He approaches every confrontation with an eerie sense of calm that makes him 10 times more terrifying than a man who simply loses his temper. You can see it in the way he walks up to a problem, slow, steady, and completely confident that he is going to win the fight before it even starts. He understands the brutal reality of the West better than anyone else, knowing that soft words do not keep greedy people off your land. But a broken nose and a harsh lesson will make them think twice before ever looking back at the Montana skyline again. When trespassers push their luck on Dutton ground, Rip turns the simple acts of defense into unforgettable displays of raw dominance. Take the infamous moment when a group of arrogant bikers decided to cut down Dutton fences and build a campfire right on private land. Most people would call the sheriff and wait hours for help. But Rip simply pulled up in his truck, took one look at the situation, and went straight to work. He did not waste time arguing or yelling over the roar of their engines. Instead, he used his truck to smash their motorcycles into pieces before stepping out to face them single-handedly. When the bikers tried to jump him, Rip used his heavy fists, wooden planks, and sheer physical power to flatten every single one of them in a matter of minutes. He made them dig their own graves in the middle of the night just to teach them a lesson about respect, forcing them to realize that crossing the Dutton property line is a death wish. That fight proved that Rip does not care about numbers or how tough a gang thinks they are. If you break the rules on his land, he will dismantle you completely. What makes Rip's battles against outsiders so intense is his absolute refusal to back down, no matter how dirty the fight gets. Whether he is dealing with greedy land developers, aggressive rival ranchers, or ruthless enforcers sent by wealthy corporations, Rip fights like a man who has nothing to lose and everything to protect. He uses every tool at his disposal, from heavy iron chains and truck bumpers to his bare hands, leaving his enemies broken on the dirt. During one brutal assault on the ranch, when masked attackers invaded the house to hurt the people he loves, Rip did not hesitate for a single second. He charged straight into the gunfire, taking hits and pushing through pain just to tear the attackers apart with his own hands. He delivers a brand of rough justice that feels ancient and unforgiving, showing everyone watching that the Dutton Ranch is guarded by a lion that never sleeps. When the dust finally settles and the blood is wiped away, Rip simply stands over his defeated opponents, adjusts his hat, and gets right back to work, proving time and time again that nobody crosses Rip Wheeler and lives to brag about it. Rip Wheeler does not just fight to protect the dirt beneath his boots. He enforces an absolute hierarchy inside the bunkhouse that keeps the entire ranch running like a clock. To the cowboys who work for the Dutton name, Rip is not a friendly boss who buys rounds at the local bar after a hard shift. He is an unforgiving force of nature who demands total obedience, absolute silence, and unmatched work ethic from every single hand who sleeps under that roof. When a young ranch hand steps out of line, acts lazy, or thinks they are too big for their boots, Rip does not waste time with long lectures or HR meetings. He steps into the arena, grabs them by the collar, and beats the arrogance completely out of them until they respect the brand on their chest. The bunkhouse is a place where men live together in tight quarters, and Rip knows that even a small spark of rebellion can destroy the entire crew from the inside out. By keeping an iron fist on his own men, he guarantees that when real danger comes from the outside, every single cowboy stands shoulder to shoulder, ready to bleed for the ranch without asking a single question. The way Rip handles internal conflicts inside the bunkhouse shows just how deep his understanding of human nature really goes. When two cowboys develop a grudge and start picking fights behind his back, Rip does not let the bad blood fester or ruin the daily chores. Instead, he drags them out into the yard, circles them up under the bright floodlights, and makes them fight each other until neither man can lift his arms to throw another punch. He stands over them like a gladiator master, forcing them to hit each other until all the anger is completely drained out of their bodies. Once they are lying in the dirt, covered in mud and blood, Rip makes them shake hands and get right back to work at 4 in the morning. This harsh tradition teaches every hand that personal drama has zero value on the Dutton Ranch. You either learn to put your pride away and work together, or Rip will personally break your spirit until you learn your place. It is a terrifying way to manage a team, but it creates a brotherhood of men who know that their survival depends on trust, discipline, and total submission to the authority of the black hat. When new recruits arrive at the ranch thinking they are tough cowboys, Rip takes great pleasure in shattering their illusions from day one. He tests their limits by handing them the most dangerous, back-breaking tasks available, watching closely to see if they break under the pressure or stand their ground. If a rookie shows even a tiny hint of disrespect or tries to talk back, Rip moves in fast, delivering a quick right hook to the jaw before the recruit even realizes what happened. He makes it crystal clear that the brand scorched into their skin is not a cool tattoo or a badge of honor to show off at a bar. It is a permanent mark of ownership that means their life now belongs to the Dutton family. Rip forces these young men to realize that the ranch demands everything they have, including their pride, their safety, and their freedom. He pushes them to the absolute edge of physical exhaustion, proving that only the strong survive under his leadership. By the time Rip is finished breaking down a new hand, that cowboy has been transformed from a loudmouth runaway into a silent, loyal soldier who will follow Rip into the darkest valley without hesitating for a single second. The true terror of Rip's authority inside the ranch comes from the fact that he never turns his intensity off, even when dealing with men he has known for years. Even veteran cowboys like Lloyd know that friendship means nothing if you compromise the safety or secrets of the Dutton name. When old conflicts boil over and threaten the order of the bunkhouse, Rip is willing to put a beating on his oldest companions just to maintain the absolute law of the land. He carries the heavy burden of being the executioner so that John Dutton can keep his hands clean, and that responsibility eats away at any soft edges Rip might have had left. There are no favorite workers, no special exemptions, and no second chances when Rip steps into the yard. Every swing of his fist inside the bunkhouse serves as a reminder that the Dutton Ranch is built on sacrifice and kept alive by fear. Rip keeps his men in line because he knows that the moment the bunkhouse shows weakness, the whole empire will crumble. He stands as the unbreakable pillar of the operation, making sure that every cowboy who wears the brand remembers exactly who rules the valley. When professional killers and high-priced corporate mercenaries step onto the Montana turf, they usually expect a clean operation against regular farmers, but they quickly find out that Rip Wheeler operates in a league of absolute darkness that money cannot buy. These outsiders show up with expensive tactical gear, automatic weapons, and cold corporate backing, thinking a guy in a cowboy hat and a denim jacket will be an easy target to eliminate. Rip watches them from the shadows with a cold, dead stare, completely unbothered by their fancy weapons or their big city threats. He knows that modern weapons mean nothing if you do not have the stomach to use them, and Rip has a stomach made of iron and a heart that stopped feeling fear a long time ago. When the shooting starts, Rip does not panic or hide behind cover. He moves forward with terrifying speed, closing longitudinal distance until their fancy guns are useless pieces of metal. He takes down professional hitmen like they are minor nuisances, proving that raw survival instinct and pure rural brutality will always destroy a corporate paycheck in the end. The true nightmare of facing Rip on his darkest days is the chilling silence he brings to a gunfight, turning a deadly ambush into a systematic dismantling of his enemies. When wealthy enemies sent armed thugs to terrorize the ranch and threaten the people he loved, Rip did not wait for the police or talk about terms of surrender. He tracked those killers down into the dark, quiet corners of the valley and dismantled them one by one without raising his voice or losing his breath. There are no dramatic speeches or arrogant taunts when Rip handles the worst kind of villains. There is only a terrifying calm before he ends the threat permanently. He handles the grim business of the ranch with a quiet professionalism that makes your blood run cold, treating the darkest chores like routine maintenance. You can see the absolute terror in a villain's eyes the exact second they realize that Rip is not just defending a piece of land, but he is executing a sentence from which there is no appeal. He does not care who hired them or how much protection they thought they had bought. Once they cross that invisible line, they belong to the dirt. What makes Rip's war against high-level villains truly unique is his unmatched ability to absorb horrific amounts of damage and keep moving forward like an unstoppable machine. During brutal coordinated attacks where heavily armed enemies tried to wipe out the entire Dutton family at once, Rip took severe hits and gunfire that would have dropped any normal man instantly. Instead of going down, he used the chaos to hunt down the remaining attackers, using heavy chains, tools, and his bare hands to rip their operation apart from the inside. His body is covered in the physical scars of 100 forgotten wars, and every single scar tells the story of an enemy who thought they could beat him and failed. When he tracks down rival hit squads hiding out in the rugged mountains, he does not call for backup or wait for daylight. He walks right into their camp in the middle of the night and turns their safe house upside down. He fights with the calculated fury of a predator who has spent his entire life protecting his pack, showing no mercy to anyone who threatens the safety of John and Beth Dutton. The dark magic of Rip Wheeler's character is that even after doing the most violent, unforgiving work imaginable, he can walk back into the main house, wash the blood off his hands, and look at Beth with a soft, gentle smile. That contrast is what makes him the most fascinating enforcer in the story, because his capacity for brutal violence is completely matched by his capacity for absolute, unbreakable love. He carries the heaviest sins of the Dutton Ranch on his broad shoulders, so that the people he cares about never have to see the ugliness of the real world. Every villain he puts in the ground, every secret he hides, and every drop of blood he spills is done to keep a fragile peace alive in a harsh country. When the final credits roll on one of his most violent confrontations, Rip stands alone in the dark Montana wind, adjusting his black hat, knowing full well that tomorrow morning he will wake up and do it all over again because nobody else on earth has the strength to carry that weight. When the final chapter of a conflict closes on the Dutton Ranch, there are no courtrooms, no judges, and no juries to read out a verdict. There is only a quiet, winding dirt road that leads straight to the Montana-Wyoming border. This is the place known only as the train station, a dark, 100-mile stretch of desolate cliffside where the law does not exist and where Rip Wheeler delivers the ultimate penalty for crossing his family. While most men would be haunted by taking human life, Rip treats these midnight drives like an everyday necessity, driving his truck through the pitch-black mountain passes with a calm, steady hand on the wheel. He loads the men who tried to tear down the Dutton legacy into the back of his truck, treating their broken bodies like heavy sacks of grain that simply need to be cleared away. There is a terrifying, hypnotic beauty in the way Rip handles these final moments, offering no dramatic monologues or fiery speeches, just a quiet look into his enemy's eyes before pushing them over the steep drop into oblivion. To Rip, the train station is not a place of murder. It is a sacred vault where the ranch's deepest secrets are buried, forever beneath thousands of tons of jagged rock. The true weight of Rip's existence comes from his willingness to sacrifice his own soul so that the Dutton name can remain pure in the eyes of the world. He understands better than anyone that a massive empire like the Dutton Ranch cannot survive on legal paperwork and polite conversations alone. It requires a shadow figure who is willing to walk into the deepest mud and do what needs to be done. Rip takes pride in being that shadow, wearing his dark clothes and black hat like an iron uniform that separates him from normal human morality. When rival bosses, corrupt officials, or greedy land grabbers push the family to the absolute brink, John Dutton never has to give a direct order. He simply gives Rip a look, and Rip handles the rest with terrifying efficiency. He acts as a human shield for the people he loves, ensuring that Beth can dream of a normal future, and John can keep his seat in office while Rip carries the heavy burden of their shared sins. He does not ask for extra money, he does not ask for fame, and he certainly does not ask for forgiveness. His only reward is knowing that the ranch will stand for another day under his watchful eye. What makes Rip's reign as the ultimate enforcer so unforgettable is the cold, absolute certainty with which he carries out his duty until the very last second. Even when facing off against enemies who beg for mercy, offer millions of dollars in bribes, or try to appeal to his sense of humanity, Rip remains completely unaffected, like a mountain that cannot be moved by the wind. He looks at those who cross the Duttons not as people, but as invasive weeds that are choking out the land he loves, and he pulls them out by the root without a single second of hesitation or regret. His entire life has been forged in heat and pain, making him completely immune to psychological games, idle threats, or empty promises. When he steps back into his truck after cleaning up a scene, wiping the dust off his boots and lighting a single cigarette under the pale moonlight, you realize that you are looking at a dying breed of man, a lone warrior who operates by an ancient, unwritten code of absolute loyalty. He is the iron foundation upon which the entire Dutton Empire rests, proving time and again that as long as Rip Wheeler is breathing, the ranch will never fall. As the morning sun slowly rises over the snow-capped peaks of Montana, painting the sky in deep shades of gold and purple, Rip drives back onto the dirt path of the Dutton Ranch as if nothing ever happened. The blood has been washed from his hands, the weapons are stowed away, and his calm, icy demeanor is back in place as he prepares to wake up the bunkhouse crew for another day of hard work. The world outside the ranch fences will never know the wars that were fought in the dark, or the bodies that were dropped into the canyon to keep the valley peaceful, and that is exactly how Rip wants it. He steps out of his truck, pulls his hat down low over his eyes, and looks out across the vast, endless sea of green grass that he has bled to protect. His story is not one of glory or fame, but of absolute unyielding devotion to a cause bigger than himself. Rip Wheeler stands as the ultimate symbol of the Wild West, a man who lived by the gun, ruled by the fist, and sacrificed his own light so that the Dutton Ranch could shine forever. The best of Rip Wheeler is not just a collection of brutal fights, sharp one-liners, and intense showdowns. It is the definitive story of what ultimate loyalty looks like when it is pushed to its absolute limit. Across every section of his life on the Dutton Ranch, Rip has proven that he is the unbreakable shield, standing between the family he loves and a world that wants to tear them apart piece by piece. Whether he is keeping order in the bunkhouse with a heavy fist, standing toe-to-toe with greedy outsiders, taking down high-priced corporate hitmen in the dark, or making late-night trips to the train station, Rip carries out his duty without a single moment of doubt or regret. He is a rare kind of character who lives by a simple, ancient rule. You defend your home, you protect your people, and you destroy anything that tries to harm them. That unwavering code of honor and violence is precisely why Rip Wheeler remains the most feared, respected, and iconic figure in the entire history of the Dutton Empire. Now that you have seen the full breakdown of Rip's most legendary moments, it is time for you to weigh in on the legacy of the Dutton Ranch's greatest enforcer. Which Rip Wheeler moment stood out to you the most? Was it the time he smashed the bikers' motorcycles and forced them to dig their own graves? His brutal brawl to keep order in the bunkhouse? Or the terrifying silence of his late-night trips to the train station? Drop your favorite Rip scene in the comments section below and let us know who you think was his toughest opponent so far. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the brutal world of Montana's fiercest cowboy, make sure to hit that like button, share this video with fellow fans, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another high-octane breakdown of your favorite dramatic TV moments.